Three, two, one. Good morning, everyone. I'm going to share this out real quick. Let's get some people in if they want to come in. I don't know. All right, that should be good. Okay, there we go. I shared it out. Hello, good morning, everyone. Today happens to be Monday, March 23rd. Well, you are very vocal today. Yes, my little baby. Here she is. She's right here. She's all vocal and everything. Yeah, you keep crying. But it is Monday, March 23rd. Now, the strangest thing happened. If you were here for my last show, which was actually on Thursday, Wednesday? It was either Wednesday or Thursday. I don't even remember what my last show was. It was the I'm back. That one, I have to say, was such an uplifting, moving show. We ended up having multiple guests that came on and were talking. And it was an eye-opening show. At the end of the show, I mean, I want to say it was like a 4-hour show. At the end of the show, I felt so energetic and I felt so like I don't even know what to say. I'm getting lost for words. I'm completely getting lost for words. But then the weirdest thing happened. Trying to think because like my mind is all over the place. Uh, this is exactly the weird thing that happened. So, from my perspective, because my perspective, remember, perception is reality. From my perspective, this is exactly what happened. Chris got dressed, ready for work. I was awake, but I was like in like half dreamland, half awake. And I was talking to Chris, and he said, "You had a full conversation with me." I'm like, "Okay." I was talking to Chris, and I told him, like, "Have a good day at work. I'll see you tonight. I got to do stuff. I got to do laundry. I got to," and it's like I had that conversation. The next thing I know, he storms into the room and he's yelling. And I was like totally disoriented. And I'm like, "What's the matter? Like, why are you yelling?" I'm like, "Go to work." And you know what he said to me? He said, "I had been trying to call you all day long. I just got back from work." And I looked at the time, and no joke, it was almost 6 p.m. So that means literally what ended up happening was I fell asleep at the point that he went to work. And without even realizing, I slept the entire day until he came home. And I probably would have slept even longer, but him coming home so concerned because he said, "That's never like you." I mean, he sends me a message, instantly I respond. He said he was calling. I looked at my phone. My phone was blowing up with messages. Like it was just call after call after call, text message after text. And it wasn't just him, it was other people too. And I was so confused. And I said to him, I said, "It literally feels like, from my perspective, that I just said to you, 'Have a good day at work.' And then the next minute you're yelling at me that you tried to reach me." And it was so disorienting. It was so confusing. And I mean, I'm a little concerned about that. And he even said, he's like, "You're telling me that you slept?" Oh, thank you so much, Wisdom Seeker. I appreciate that. And welcome to the show. And he even said to me, he's like, "You're telling me that you slept the entire day." And I'm like, "This is not like me." He's like, "How do you feel?" I'm like, "Honestly, I feel exhausted. I feel like I didn't sleep at all." So he's like, "That's it." He's like, "You slept way too much." I'm like, "That's not like me. I never take naps through the day. I don't. I'm the type of person that I get up, I'm up, and I start doing things, and I'm like, da, 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 and I'm all over the place." But he said, he's like, "Maybe your body needed it." But it really, really got me concerned because it's one thing to like go to sleep, it's another thing to go to sleep and completely lose track of all time completely. And that's ended up what happened to me. And I mean, I'm a little concerned, but at the same time, I'm like, what happened? Yes, good morning, Wisdom. Welcome back to the show. So that's what ended up happening on Friday. On Thursday, I had a doctor's appointment. So yeah, I had a last minute doctor. See, that's one of the things which is kind of funny and not funny is I'm on so many waiting lists for specialists that each time they get an opening, I try to take it immediately. In fact, I have a I have a cardiologist that I'm supposed to be seeing, and their next appointment is 4 months down the line. I'm like, you're kidding me. I have an emergency to see this cardiologist, but the only appointment is now. I already switched my appointment 3 times because each time, I guess they update their records. Like somebody will cancel or this and that. So I try to grab the closest appointment. So at least I got it down from 4 months to 2 months. So I want to see if I can get one in immediately. But that's what ended up happening on Thursday was one of my doctors had an immediate opening and I'm like, okay, let's do it. So I was able to go to the doctor, which is good. But I'm getting to the point where I'm getting to the point where I guess I could say I can't stand going to doctors. It's like I feel like they're doing more harm than good, but yeah, whatever. I always say it's important to get checked out. It's important to make sure that everything's okay. And then whatever they say, pray upon it and do whatever you can. That's what I say. All right. Well, anyway, so I'm back. Paige agrees with that. Yeah. I mean, I want to say that every time I go to the doctor, it's like a completely different diagnosis that comes out of nowhere. Like I go for one thing and then it's like, oh, well, your test results are showing this. I'm like, oh, that wasn't expected. Okay, I guess we got to fix that. And then it's like, oh, well, we got to fix this. But they never treat the total issue, they treat a symptom. And that's one of the things I can't stand about modern day. It absolutely doesn't matter what I go to the doctor for. The answer is always because I'm exactly. And you know something, Paige? I find that extremely hard to believe. I mean, I understand. I always said that when it comes to weight, it's a mind, body, spirit thing. And that's one of the reasons why I came on this journey is because in order to fix everything, it's not just the one factor. You got to fix everything. You got to fix your mind, you got to fix your body, you got to fix your spirit within. And that's why I'm trying to align all three of them together. I understand a lot of issues have to do with weight, but not every exactly. And I agree with you. And I mean, I've had weight issues my entire life. However, there was a point that even though I was a big girl, I was actually very healthy. I mean, I was very active. Um, like in school, I was on sports teams. In college, I had a volleyball scholarship. I mean, I was a very, very active, even though I always was big. And now it's getting to the point as time is aging and stuff like that, it's getting to the point where it's affecting all my health. And that's the point that is really difficult is I'm so used to being like active and being able and being flexible and stuff like that. And now it's getting to the point it's like, okay, I lost my flexibility. I don't have as much strength. I don't have it's like all these things that add up to it. Let me just see what it Oh, good morning, Mitchell. Welcome to the show. When you realize God isn't outside you, that changes you need already within. Everything changes. Now, see, I mean, I will say this. There are those that believe that God is an outside deity. There are those who believe that God is within. And I want to say, why can't it be both? I mean, seriously, why can't God be that outside deity who also resides deep within? And I almost want to say, for the people who believe, yeah, I'm not saying I am God, but I'm God's creation. I'm God's child. I'm God's. What's to say that it's not part of me? I mean, if we look at it from a scientific point of view, I mean, just looking at it from science, okay, fine. If God is the creator and God is my father, then yes, I'm going to have traits. I'm going to have DNA. I'm going to have a spiritual, and I mean, maybe it's not a physical thing like blood and genes and this, but maybe the answer is that spiritually speaking, we do have a piece of God. Our health is their money. Exactly. I dislike the US healthcare system and haven't found a good doctor these days. I'm I don't like this about my area, but where I live there is such a shortage of doctors. In fact, I had to go for a special test and it was a 2-hour ride just to get that test, which okay, I got the results and you know something, we knew something was wrong, and okay, now it's in black and white that there is something wrong. Um, but I had to travel just to get far. I'm at the point right now where any doctor will do, and I mean that's almost awful to say that. I'm actually on a waiting list for gynecologists, and I mean that to me as a female, that should be completely like necessary. But I went through 19 gynos in this area. And that's a lot for an area, 19 of them, and none of them are accepting any new patients. So it's like I actually have to go outside my area and I'm on a waiting list with the 19. It's like the first one who has an opening who can actually take a new patient. I mean, I'm at the point where I'm probably going to actually use Planned Parenthood, not for that stuff, but just for a basic examination, just to make sure that everything's going okay. And I mean, I think it's ridiculous that I have to do that. Um, I'm not liking these younger doctors. I they don't want to treat they don't want to treat it. They just want to fix it enough that you keep going back for more and more. That's exactly what it is. A discussion on doctor's appointment and feeling misdiagnosed. Oh, that's the oh, I got to be careful if that's the AI summary on what we're talking about because I could easily see how misinformation on that. Um, hold on one second. Let me just say good morning. Okay. And then hold on one second, guys. I just got to respond to this real quick. Um, I'm just saying I'm in a live show. Love ya. Okay. All right. God is omnipresent. He is everywhere, including within. Okay, thank you, wisdom. I actually appreciate that because I will say this. I'm talking to a lot of different people with a lot of different faith and belief systems. And sometimes that could be a good thing, sometimes that could be a really bad thing, particularly when a cluster of people say that they believe in the same thing, but then when you start getting down to the root of it, their differences are so extreme. So yeah, I do believe God is within me. I really do. Like I almost want to say that could be my own individual life force. That could be the spirit. I mean, just think about it this way. And I mean, I have so many theories running through my head. And I call them theories because in some cases there is actual evidence that is true. In other cases it's like, okay, I have to decipher, discern and try to figure out if it is. And what if the whole idea of the Holy Spirit really is everybody's spirit as well? That all of us share within this spiritual plane. And I always thought about that. I mean, even though each and every one of us are our own individuals, we all have that little spark within us that is making us alive. And what is to refuse the fact that that spirit could be the very essence of God and we're all interconnected in that way? I don't know. Wouldn't that be serving two masters, following something outside of you? and ignoring what is within. No, because from my point of view, you can accept both. So it's worth exploring this idea that the kingdom is within. Follow your path. No, I appreciate it. And Ascension, this is an open dialogue. I mean, I always allow any point of view to be discussed here as long as it's done respectfully, even if it's a difference of opinion. I actually appreciate differences of opinion because then you can talk about coming into a common ground, possibly swaying something that's not understanding. I mean, there's so many. So I do appreciate what you're saying. Um, I just, at the same time, I feel like why can't it be both? It's not serving two masters because that would be saying that God is one master and internally is a second master. What I'm saying is it's one and the same, that it's not two separate. Hello, Sarah. Welcome to the show. When you make that simple connection, you remember that you created all of this, not a victim. Not too sure where that is coming from, but or are you saying that my health issues are because I created them? I mean, I could say that I could say this. I probably have attributed to certain things, but I do not believe that each and every one of us have created all of our individual downfalls. I really don't. I think I really believe that everything here is a test. It's a test to see how we react, how we respond, how we live, how we continue to treat people. I really believe it is a test. And I also believe it's a learning experience because when I look at all the different theories of heaven, hell, reincarnation, um, what is around us, I almost think, why can't it all be absolutely true, but it's all in different contexts? Because I almost want to say this. I mean, who's to say that there is a heaven and hell, but when there's a heaven and hell, in order to get there, you have to go through lifetime after lifetime after lifetime of learning. You have to go through various aspects. Is it only just one chance and that's all you get? You get one chance to be either right or wrong, or is it time and time again? You learn and learn and learn until you reach a certain point where it's like, okay, you, every single lifetime that you've been here, you've chose evil. So you know something? At this point, there's nothing more that life can teach you. So then, yes, you're going to go to hell. Or is it that each and every lifetime you've grown, you keep going, you now you say, yes, we only die once as an individual. But what I'm saying, what about as a spiritual collective? Like, what happens to your spirit when you die? Does it die with you? Or could the spirit move on, try again, automatically either get condemned or either to heaven or hell? I mean, I don't know. We don't have the answers. And you know something? We may never know the answers. But that's where faith, that's where belief comes in, and that's where motivation comes in. And I want to, good afternoon, Golden. How are you? And I want to say motivation as well, because I've always said this, there are people who live and there are people who exist. And for a long time, I just existed. For me, existing meant going to work, doing the same thing over and over again, punching in, punching out, having dinner, watching TV, going to bed, repeat, rinse, repeat, same thing over and over again. There was no passion. All I did, go to work all day long, maybe go out every now and then. But then I thought, then there are those who live, those who can literally go outside and just soak in everything. They can enjoy the beauty that's around them. They can appreciate what others do. They can try to help and give instead of constantly like take. They can also give. I'm okay. Do you also think it's weird all these meteors are falling. You know something? There is, you could look at it from different, and I got to be very, very careful because I'm still on my first warning. So I got to be careful what I say. But in regards to meteors, Project Bluebeam, that's something to do a deep dive on. Um, and I guess I have to be careful, but Project Bluebeam, that's all I'm going to say. Um, I don't know about the meteors because I saw this beautiful picture. And I mean, it's so inspiring, but I don't know if it's real or not because it's like, is it AI generated? I mean, nowadays, everything is so AI generated that it's hard to determine what's real and what's not. Um, but it was a beautiful aurora borealis picture that literally looked like an angel. It it looked like a, it had the head, it had the wings, and it's just the power and radiating light from this aurora borealis looked like an angel. And it made me wonder, okay, am I looking at this, is this real, or is this just people manipulating to try to gain views or try to, and as far as the meteors, you got to look at it this way. Okay, are they actually meteors? Is it falling space debris? Is it some sort of experimentation with weapons, being that where things are going a little chaotic with the world? I mean, I don't know. And I mean, even weird things are happening. Like, for example, there was the plane crash into the fire truck at LaGuardia Airport in New York. And that's bringing in a whole mess of discussion because if that much damage caused from a plane hitting a fire truck, it makes you think about, okay, if a plane were to hit something else, how did it fall the way it fell? So it, that's starting to bring up a whole different conversation. Meteors fall every day. What are you all talking about? Okay. Well, they're, what we're talking about is they're starting to be more visible. People are starting to like wake up and actually see things for the first time. I mean, I want to say they're finally looking up, which is good because okay, why is society looking up and not necessarily looking down? I almost want to say we got to both look up and down at the same time. Exactly. All of a sudden, there's a lot of him. Well, the one thing I say, and you guys can tell me I am crazy on this, and I mention this, and one thing I don't like about Google is when you research something on Google, you're going to get the same answers over and over and over again, but there will be a bunch of us that will insist that if you question that same question years ago, that wouldn't be the answer that Google will give you. And I try to say that, and I got to be careful. But all of a sudden, there's a lot. I will say this: when I was a kid, the idea of an eclipse was so rare and so like a phenomenon that never happens. In fact, I remember, I want to say in the 80s, I don't even remember what exact year it was, but in the 80s, I remember I was in grade school, and for the very first time, they were saying that there was going to be a solar eclipse. And they did the whole thing where they had the special glasses, and you had to get, we did a little cutout cardboard thing that if you hold it up to the sun, it created a shadow. It was like this weird thing, and it was all part of the whole science experiment. And I remember back then they're saying that this is a phenomenon that's not going to happen for another 30 or 40 years or so. So that's why this is an important phenomenon. And then we come to now, and we've had like 6 eclipses the past 2 years. And I mean, even within the same week, there was a an eclipse and another eclipse. I want to say last month, within the same week. And I'm thinking to myself, of course, you Google it and it'll be like, oh yeah, this happens all the time. There's an annual eclipse. There's a this eclipse. There's many eclipses, and I'm like, am I in another timeline? Um, why has Hinduism been around for 2,000 years longer than Christianity? I'm going to give you another question. Hold on one second. I'm going to answer that question with a question, but I gotta find my piece of paper first. Hold on, where's my piece of paper? Oh, I lost my piece of paper. Are you kidding me? I had a little piece of paper. Here it is. Okay, chemo. You think you're trying to derail the conversation? I have another conversation with you. Why are there 15 religions before Christianity that all have the same basics of Christianity? They all had a Messiah. They all had a baby born in a manger. They all had someone who died on the cross. They all had 12 disciples, and they all had a crown of thorns. So, how about answering that question before I answer why has Hindus been around for 2,000 years? Because I'll say, look these religions up, and these will be around even longer than Hinduism. So okay, so eclipses aren't rare when they say for the next 30 years, they mean in that area. But even here, I mean, like I said, we had an eclipse within, I want to say, a week and a half of each other. I've never heard of that before. Hold on one second. Um okay. Sorry. Had to answer that question. All right. Fizz says it's all great mythology. Okay. Hinduism used to be somewhat different according to Sanskrit texts. Of course, it's a great question. Why would it be a great question? You asked a great question. I asked an even better one. You said, why does Hinduism left? And I said, why are these 15 religions even before Hinduism? So, Zoroastrianism. Okay, you're right. Jesus wasn't even the first of his own story. You kind of proved their point. Even if I did prove their point, here, I can give you something that's even mind blowing. What if every single religion is exactly the same religion, but just told from a different perspective, and all we're serving is the same God? It just has a different name. That's something to think of. So, um, oh, so you just picked one out of many. Okay, so I gave you 15 more that you can add to if you want to take a screenshot of that. So yeah, take a look. 15 more of them. Okay. Um, I believe that if Christians weren't scared of other gods, um, nobody knows anything. So yeah, I mean, I don't know what you're trying to prove. You say so. Basically, you don't know. Why would I know? Nobody knows. There's not one single person or anything that actually knows the answer. So me, okay, maybe by chance the scholars in the Vatican may actually know because they have the books and stuff, but who knows? Honey Badger, thank you so much. I'm back. I did come back the other day, but then, like I said, I had a doctor's appointment, and then for some reason I decided to sleep 20 days, 20 hours straight. Don't ask me why. You got to go to work. My job actually helps the community. I recommend that. Okay, go to work. Have a nice day. Just wondering how Christians are so convinced their God is the true God. If you don't mind me saying, Chemo, doesn't every single religion say that? Isn't every single religion pointing at another religion saying that you're wrong and I'm right? So it's not just the Christians. I mean, I would almost want to say, what do you have so against the Christians that you come in and just point at the Christians? I mean, you can fill out the word Christian with any follower of any religion and it would hold true. So, um, well, anyway, so that's pretty much my story. The last time we were here, we had, like I said, we actually had guests come on, which I thought was amazing. Conversation was a little all over the place because the one thing that really stumped me was the idea of the heart, because the conversation was that the heart is deceitful. And for me, I almost feel like while it can be deceitful, it's also the very essence of what you need in order to serve, obey, give yourself over to another. Ah, let me ask this differently. Why do you choose Christianity? I don't choose Christianity. So that's a fault on you. I don't choose Christianity. I'm not a Christian. So hopefully that answers your question. I'm a believer, but I'm not a Christian. Okay. So anyway, um I want to say we have been doing Samuel chapter 24 for over a week now. So I really, really want to get to this, and I want to develop into the story because I just finished. We finished last week, the House of David. If anybody's been watching The Chosen, it just started last night. I didn't get a chance to see the new episode, so that I'm going to watch today because, of course, it was at night. I thought it was during the day. Christian literally means follower of Christ, so you're not a Christian. Wow. Light bulb moment. No, I don't consider myself a Christian. So you guys could debate about that but no, I am a believer. I do not consider myself a Christian. So you guys could debate on that one. Anyway, Christian just means follower of Christ. Okay, DV, but here's a question. What if you follow more than just Christ? So that's something to think about. All right. Anyway, so 1 Samuel 24, chapter 24. I just finished watching The House of David, which was actually interesting because this was the start of David. And it was funny as I'm watching it in a visual context compared to looking at it and reading it. And of course, they have like creative licensing and creative liberties to fill in the blanks between the things. But it's nicer to actually see things visually. You know something? Okay. Yes. Do I believe in Christ? Yes. I don't even have to believe in Christ because we already know historically that there's more than enough history and evidence that there was Christ. Do I follow him? Yes, I do follow him. And are you saying I follow more than one God? I'm saying that there are other gods as well. I'm absolutely saying that. So you can take it that way. I mean, this isn't an interview process. We're not here to sit here and interview me on my just so you guys can point and say, well, aha, you're wrong. You want me to be wrong? That's fine. You guys could already determine that I'm wrong. But you know something? I will tell you what I'm doing. I am going to, we're going to pray. I'm going to read. I'm going to discuss whatever comes up. And if you guys want to continue having this discussion on my personal views, well, you could take it elsewhere because we're not having this discussion today. Okay, that's how I look at it. I think I've given you. I don't think you're going to make it into that procedure. What? Oh, you're talking about the scholars of the Vatican? Well, first of all, there's rules against that. In order to be a Vatican scholar, I mean, obviously, you need to speak multiple languages. You need to be ordained within the ministry, I guess, like that. They don't allow, like, in order to even go to the basic level of the Vatican archives, you need to be vetted. You need a permission. You need to. It's which God are we praying to? Whichever God you want to pray to, hiatus. If you don't even want to pray, then don't even pray at all. That's on you, not on me. So you can't say you follow Christ and also follow other gods. He says, I am the way. You know something, DV? Okay, you can definitely, you could say what I can and cannot do. That's on you. I will honestly say this. I do not believe in one God. I don't. The Bible even proves in more instances than none that there are multiple gods. Now, there may be a hierarchy among gods, but I mean, if you're going to only say there is one God, then I respect that. I'm going to say that there are multiple gods, whether they are one and the same, whether they are, like I said, the same religion, just looking at things differently. Telling you say you don't believe Jesus is God? Keep ready up on your bio. Okay, you could pray for me. Thank you so much. All right, so now interesting. And Fallon, if you don't mind me just pointing out, because this is the biggest thing that I'm noticing amazingly when I talk to different Christians and different beliefs, is there are those who are diehard Trinity, Father, Son, Holy Spirit, one and the same. Then there are those that are like, no, it literally is the Father, the Son, the Holy Spirit. It's three different entities. So you're saying that you don't believe Jesus is God at all. Do you believe he is the Son of God? Which that's a Jesus is king, do your research. Okay, fine. Let's pray to the money god. All right, so you want money, you want to be greedy, you want to be self-centered, then that is who you can pray to, hiatus. I don't choose to pray to that. I don't give into greed. I don't give into materialistic. I don't give into that is why I say God is the most high God. I love Jesus so much. Okay, that's great. You can love Jesus. From what I've read, Jesus was the Son of God. Okay, but does being a Son of God be equivalent to being Jesus is not God, but of God. So then technically we can be of God too, because we are his creations. So I believe Buddha was of God too. So, and I mean, okay, can we go as far as to say if you believe Buddha was of God too, would Muhammad be of God as well? Wolf says we are little gods. I'm, something I don't know. You are of God. I mean, I almost want to say, like I said, when I was questioning earlier about the physical, because physical terms, what we get from our parents would be genes, DNA, genetics. That's what we get on a physical representation. What do we get on a spiritual representation? And that's what I always thought about. Like, we are God's creation. So, spiritually speaking, how are we connected spiritually? And that's how I look at it. And particularly when you say you are of God, that's how I look at it as you are of God is the spiritual connection. I agree there's more than one God. I just choose to follow Jesus. And that's fine. And I mean, honey, I I see absolutely nothing wrong with that. I find it more disturbing that people get so offended on what you decide to believe in and who you decide to follow, even within this whole thing. I mean, I can't even voice my opinion without somebody pretty much sort of like, that's wrong. I'm going to pray for you. That's not, you need to read the Bible. It's like, nobody respects any other's opinions when what we should be doing is embracing the fact that we do believe that there we do have commonalities, that there is joy in belief, but people are so blinded because they only want to see their way that they don't want to see other perspectives either. It is so written that we are little gods. When I look into your eyes, I see family. Oh, thank you, Fallon. And you know what the funny thing is? I looked at myself like I'm looking at myself right now. What I see is somebody who looks extremely tired and drained. And I mean, that was one thing I've been saying. And I've been saying this to Chris, which has me concerned. Is I said to him, I'm like, you have no idea how exhausted I am. And of course, we're looking into some issues that they're finding, but it's like, I am tired. But thank you. I appreciate that. That's why in the Bible, the little g and big G is used when God is spoken in the Bible. Absolutely. And I mean, the way I look at this is how I look at it. The Bible is a warning label. And generally speaking, you do not put a warning label on something unless it already happened or caused a disturbance where you have to warn. So the fact that time and time again, the Lord keeps saying, do not worship false idols, do not worship idols, do not worship gods, and stuff like that. I mean, he keeps drumming it in. That to me doesn't say that there's no such thing as gods. That to me says that there are other gods out there that are going to try to manipulate you and try to bring you into their fold, but don't listen to them. Don't worship them. From a different perspective, we're seeing the Bible from the perspective of God. I would like to see if there is another version of the Bible from the perspective of the people who are against God. So, in other words, like throughout this whole 40-year journey with the children of Israel, they get to the promised land, but they have to fight for the promised land. So, all the ites, the Amorites, the Hedevites, um, the different ites that they had to kill, I would love to hear their perspective of how they viewed religion in comparison to the Israelites who are coming in and destroying them. All right, so yes, exhausted, but you're very beautiful in so many ways. Oh, thank you, Fallon. No, I do appreciate that. And like I said, I mean, I was shocked at myself that I actually slept 20 hours straight. Like I had no idea that not only did I sleep the whole night, because from my perspective, it was like I said to Chris, "Have a nice day. I'm just gonna lie down." And then the next minute, he's like waking up me up in a panic because he wanted to know what happened. And it turns out I didn't wake up. I slept the whole day. It was weird. The Bible tells us the future. Absolutely, Trophy. I agree that completely, because if we were to take it, I call there was a beautiful symbolism and metaphor to the Bible, because with every verse, you see this little tiny section right here. So this verse coincides with a different verse from a different book. And you have to remember, the Bible was not written by the same writer. There was roughly like 40 different writers, or possibly more if you count the books that were taken away. But there's roughly 40 different writers of the Bible. And everything coincides with something in the future. Everything. Like one little story here, you can take that same story and compare it to another story in the future, and it creates this beautiful rainbow of one instance tying into a future instance, another verse tying into another verse. So, absolutely, I believe the Bible tells us not only the future, it tells us the past, the present, and future. And within the parables, I do believe that it coincides with what's going on today. I really do. One God and Father of all is above, and though all and in all you. Okay. Amen. That's the devil and all the demons that wanted to be praised. Oh, you're talking about the other gods. The words of the Bible is not the only important thing about following Jesus. Okay, so when was the first miracle given to a Gentile? Do you need a hint? Sometimes we, yeah, I know, sometimes we just need to rest. Um, there were also not verses, they added the numbers later. Exactly. I'm reading, I'm reading the band text. They call it the Gnostic text, but some of the band text that I'm reading, and I started off with it's the I'm sorry, my mind is like Swiss cheese right now. It's the Gospel of Jesus Christ. So one of the band's books is the Gospel of Jesus, and how it's written, there's no there's no indentation, there's no numbers, but it's verse by verse by verse. And I think what's interesting about this particular gospel is that it literally is line by line by line. Like each line doesn't coincide with the previous line. It's almost similar to how Leviticus was, where every single line is a different law. So that's how I feel that particular gospel is. Um, Christy says it's a living word. Absolutely. And not only is it a living word, what I find is no matter what your agenda is, if your agenda is positive or negative, you're going to find something in the Bible. Hold on, guys, 1 second. I just have to respond to a message. Um, Hold on, guys. I'm sorry. Okay, sorry. My apologies, guys. I don't know if I was All right. Do you worship the Bible or Jesus Christ? You can't necessarily worship a Bible. If you're worshiping a Bible, then you're literally worshiping a inanimate object. So I read the Bible, I learn from the Bible, I reflect upon the Bible. So you really like the Gospel of Thomas? And you worship Jesus. Okay, that's great. You worship Jesus. If you trusted Michael, the chief archangel, you're going the judgment Uriel, the archangel, described. Okay, I don't know what you're saying, Anthony, but okay. I don't worship Jesus. He prayed to God, and the Bible said he was a man. He's the Son of God. Agree. All right, so I reached the end. Okay. Yeah, it's one thing. It's Monday morning, and for me, Monday mornings are always a little chaotic because I get a lot of messages, and some messages I do need to uh, I need to respond to. I'm sorry. All right. Sorry, guys. All right. I think I'm up to date. Did I miss anything? No, I didn't miss anything. All right. So let me start off with a prayer. I think prayer is very important. In fact, the other day was actually National Prayer Day, and I know I keep asking this question because I find it so funny. Somebody here mentioned about praying for money. I don't do that. When I pray in gratitude. I pray for wisdom and understanding and discernment because the biggest challenge for me is taking years and years and years of things that I thought I believed in and really truly coming to terms with how what I read, what I believe, and what I experience. And I think that's for me. It doesn't have to be the same thing with you guys, but for me, I think that's very very important because I'm finally making a decision to help my spiritual well-being compared to not following at all. And for those, if it's not obvious, there was a point that I was completely atheist. There was a point that I turned my back on God. And it's interesting because I was having this discussion with Chris because he said, I may, meaning him, he may have walked away from the church. He says, but he never walked away from God. I says, but Chris, the interesting thing for me is not only did I walk away from the church, I turned my back so far away from God that I even completely denied his existence and became one of those very, very angry people if you even came up to me to pray for me or talk or anything like that. And I realized that has been such a, I don't want to say like I want to say a chain or an anchor, not an anchor in a good way, but that has been such a heavy weight upon my soul, upon my feelings, my joys, and everything like that, that it really affected me, that I felt like I couldn't live. And in opening up my heart, in opening up my mind, and starting to really ask the questions as to what I believe, what I experience, the things I've witnessed, it's really opening up. Like I said, for me, this is a spiritual journey of mind, body, and spirit. It really is. And it's my journey. Yes, I include everybody in. I welcome that all of us have our own individual journey. But for me, when I pray, it's praying for continued gratitude, gratefulness, and thankfulness that I'm able to live, enjoy. Fallon says, okay, wait. At the end of the day, it's a bunch of letters on paper, and God speaks to me in other ways. Okay, if you believe that, I mean, if God speaks to you and you think the Bible is just, you don't need it, that's you. Okay. So just because you agree that with that, why would you want to either knock it down out of somebody else or try to condemn or be so criticizing to people who do believe in the Bible or who do believe in God or do, I mean, I often ask that. I mean, what benefit does an atheist get from arguing with a Christian, or an atheist gets from arguing with a believer? There is no benefit. The only benefit that that person will get is it fuels their negativity. It fuels any evil presence that they have. It has this way of causing destruction, and you thrive on destruction as opposed to embracing unity, harmony, and love. And for me personally, I think love is most powerful emotion. Fallon says, I believe God speaks to each person. I totally agree. And I believe he speaks in their own way that they're capable of understanding. For some people, it may be through words. Other people, it might be a visual thing. For some, it might be the world around them. I mean, I believe God speaks to each individual person. I have prayed for God to send me money, and he answers right to the dollar amount. And you know something, honey? That's great. I I don't think I've ever prayed for money. I just, I've always found, and I mean, one could call this luck. Others can say that this is a gift from God. I've always found in my life, and I know I can't rely on this, but naturally I rely on it, is the fact that no matter what has ever happened in my life, I've always been provided right to the dollar amount exactly what I needed at the time I really needed. Not what I wanted, I'm talking about genuine need. If I ever had a need, somehow, even when I don't expect it, or I don't know it's going to happen, or I don't even understand it, but somehow, each and every time in my life, when there was a need for something, in some way, it was always provided, even if I never asked for it. So to me, that alone is a miracle that I can't even explain. It's very challenging for me, but I try to interpret the text. Life without being close to Jesus is a hard life. Okay, so American, I honestly, from what you're saying, I don't know where you stand. And that's why it's a little confusing. Because on one end, it's like, yes, you believe in Jesus, and then on the other end, it's like you're knocking it down. So we all try to interpret the text. How I interpret it, it's going to be completely different than how other people interpret. In fact, one of the things that I've really been having discussions with Chris, I mean, this has been like we have been having some really long discussions about this, is because I am really starting to get this thought in my head, and it's a thought that some Christians can say that's complete heresy. You're mocking the Bible and this and that. But it's really something that is in the back of my mind. And as we get closer and closer to Jesus, I want to see exactly what it's been saying, because from my perspective, this is the big issue I have with the Bible, is that when the Lord came down and he honed in on the children of Israel. Yes, some people led astray, but the fact is, from that point on, they were following him. They were doing the laws. They were doing the the Passover. They were keeping up with the Sabbath. So what was so bad on earth that the Lord, that I'm sorry, that God had to send his only son to pretty much take his own plan that he had with the children of Israel and basically said, we're fulfilling that and tossing that plan out the window because now we have a greater plan other than just the plan. Because it almost feels like the plan with the children of Israel was simply the promised land, which was your promise on the physical realm. Now, with Jesus coming along, I'm giving you a new testament, I'm giving you a new promise, and that is what's going to happen everlasting. But it makes me wonder what has occurred since the children of Israel and since the coming of Christ that was so bad that God felt he needed to send his one and only son. And before I upset everyone, I'm going to say this, and this is just a question that's in the back of my mind. What if that's what the problem is? That the Lord in the Old Testament is not actually God himself, but a false deity that created all these things in the name of God. Because it's interesting, Jesus doesn't talk about Lord. Jesus always talks about my Father, always talks about in heaven, my Father in heaven. But yet the Lord was down to earth. He was within the temple. They had to have the veil. They had to have the Ark of the Covenant. They had to have the ephod and the breastplate to protect them within the presence of the Lord. So it's making me wonder, considering the Lord is always on a murderous rampage, it's making me wonder, is that the very reason that God sent his only son? Now, there's 25 messages. I'm going to get to it. I know I went on a complete tangent, but hey, that's what happens. All right, so Honey Badger says, then again, God answers my prayers. You should also check out the Buddhist Dhammapada. Okay, I've never heard of that, fella. Let me write that down because I'm not going to remember that. Hey, you, Treasure, I know you want to be with me. You're such a baby. I love you, but let me write that down. Buddhist, because I do love reading different texts. All right. The true name of the creator is Yahweh, and the name of the son is Yahusha Hamashiach. Okay. I think the Bible is a very good thing. Oh, Jeff, hi. I just saw you. Jeff says I'm also streaming on YouTube as well. The Romans were notorious for documenting everything. There are zero records of a martyr or Jesus in his antics. The stories were created 100 years later. Okay, I'm just curious, Jeff. How would you explain Jesus being mentioned in the Quran as well? Thank you. In the records, they are mentioned of a new shoe maker in town, yet no mention of a healer with many followers that died for you and came back to life. Okay, but I mean, that's just a question because there are different texts that also refer to Jesus. Okay, I think the Bible is a very good thing. I'm a Christian. I'm just trying to contribute with it. Okay, and I appreciate that. I do. Fallon, I'm sorry, I have no idea what that says. Oh, my puzzle game. All right, there's my little puzzle piece. Okay. They don't have like a translate button, do they? Oh, no, they do have a translate button. Okay. Oh, do I understand Hebrew? No, I don't understand Hebrew. I didn't realize I had to go to a different a different screen to translate. Okay. It's clear to me you have 100% faith, so please don't be defensive. All right, thank you. I appreciate that. It's not. I hope you understand. The reason I get defensive is I've been on live. This is currently the 105th show, and every time I come here, well, the first thing is I'm still new to this. I'm reading the Bible. I'm up to 1 Samuel 24. From a biblical perspective, I still got a long way to go. I got the rest of the book to go. But I'm starting to see so many similarities in what I was taught in church and then what I'm reading and what they haven't said. I mean, I think that's the biggest thing is it's like, why don't the church teach a lot of the stuff that's in here? I know the answer, but I'm not going to say that answer. But it's just interesting when you actually open the book and start reading word for word how things come out to you. What about the kids dying of cancer? So you are more important than. Oh, we're not going to start talking about the kids dying of cancer. I almost want to say, you know, something. I wonder, and you guys are going to laugh. I wonder if there really are troll bots that it's the same AI saying over and over and over again. Like every single troll that comes into it, you guys all see the exact same thing. And I want to know, is TikTok like just messing with people's minds that they literally create troll bots that just come in and be like, okay, whatever the topic is, we're just going to create an automatic thing that's just going to say stupid thing just to disrupt the live. And we're just going to keep doing it over and over again. Because I feel like, I mean, I almost want to say I could literally write a script of each and everything that the troll is going to say. So wisdom, I pray God provides me with what he wants for me. Bible says he will prosper. And you know something, I realize I'm talking about this. We were supposed to pray. We're absolutely going to pray. Yes, agree, Melanie. God answers the need. I have stories. When someone says that they are pronouncing a Hebrew word correctly, they don't know what the. Oh, I make no claims, Fallon. With me, with Hebrew, I know I butcher it, and people probably are laughing at how bad my pronunciation is. I'm sorry. I mean, I part of me feels like I should listen to the Bible. This way I could hear the correct pronunciation of some of these words and I could just hold my head in shame and be like, is that how bad I've been saying these words? But I know for a fact I don't pronounce things correctly at all. You will never know any of the bad things in most Bibles because it's translated through King James Version. Well, it's not only King James Version. Apparently, there are 450 different Bibles that you can currently get. And even with the King James Version, I have four different King James Version, and each of them are from different years, and each of them say different things. So I think that sadly, no matter what version of the Bible you get, it's going to be changed in some way. Are you saying Hebrew wasn't spoken for 1,000 years, has no vowels per se? I don't. I hope you're asking somebody else because I have no idea. Your needs about what the dying and suffering. Oh my God, the innocent suffering children. What are we gonna do, Terry? Keep up the amazing lives. Thank you, humble engagement King. I appreciate that. Rome controlled what was translated through the Bible when they controlled the Vatican. I believe that. I do believe that the Bible has been changed to the point where it's not even the same thing. And I believe in a lot of areas things have been added to it that make absolutely no sense whatsoever. That I often question, did man say this or did God say this? Because it makes me really believe that. I mean, I almost want to say when we were going through the Levitical laws, Leviticus and Deuteronomy, where they're listing the laws that, and I'm not talking about the original Ten Commandments. I'm talking about all the laws. Some of those laws, I often question: is that something that a God would even care about? Is that something that would be part of His covenant? And to me, it's like, no, that would be something that man would want to manipulate people because I'm the type of person, seriously, baby, I'm the type of person that if you give a rule, I look for the loophole within the rule. And I do that for the reason because I'm just the type of person I overanalyze whatever. But when I say with the loophole, I feel like the Lord created all these laws and and he created loopholes for men to do bad things if you read it carefully. But that's a whole nother debate to begin with. All right, I've got 40 messages. Let me catch up and then we'll say prayer. Keep up the great content and creating. Show nothing but, oh, thank you. I appreciate that, humble. Jesus Christ is King of Kings and the Holy Spirit dwelling within you all. You know what I noticed is when you start saying Jesus' name, when you start praying, when you start reading the Bible, it's amazing how things quiet down. The trolls leave. It's like they don't want to hear it anymore. So that's why, I mean, this is probably a bad thing, but that's why I always do not open up with a prayer. That I wait a little bit because you know something, I allow people to say what they want to say. I not that I'm inviting evil in, but it's just amazing that as soon as it gets to a certain point, once I say a prayer, it's like it just subsides. Every tongue will confess Jesus Christ is King. Um, Humble says, I'm a disciple of Jesus Christ, but God loves us all. He says, come as you are. All good. The ultimate truth is in the silence, not in the words. God is the silence between the words. Uh, I guess you're, is that a and be facts? I think that's what I'm trying to. It got cut off. So I'm thinking what you're trying to say is be facts. Keep up the amazing. Thank you, humble. How's my friend? Hi, 21. I'm hanging in there. A little tired, but I'm doing well. 21 will take care of the comments. There it is. Just blocked. Well, I got 23 messages, so I'm trying to catch up. I'm learning that we need to be renewed in the Bible. I used to listen. Okay, walk by faith. You bring up an excellent point of view, and that's one of the issues that I have with church. And I'm not. I mean, okay, I'm knocking down the church because for me, it doesn't work for me. Just because it doesn't work for me does not mean it doesn't work for everybody else. But for me, it doesn't work. And one of the issues I always had with church is that they would take one line in the Bible, they would put it up on the screen, and then they would have a complete sermon about that one line relating to it. But they're not actually explaining why that line is important and how it came into fruition in the Bible. They're not explaining who's talking to who, why they're talking to who they're talking, what are the circumstances around that is causing that line to be in the Bible. And for me, that's important because, okay, you can say a specific line, but if you don't understand the context of it within the storyline, then you could completely manipulate the message of that line, and you're now teaching a congregation of people a false message because, yes, they could see it in black and white that that's what it says in the Bible, but you changed what those words mean because you didn't talk about the whole thing of what the Bible actually says. So I believe that. I mean, walk by faith. You say you're used to read the Bible. I mean, I almost want to say that every Christian, every person, any religion you are, should take time to read the Bible. They really should. Even if you don't believe it, you could look at the Bible as nothing more than a literary work, a fictional work, a book of fantasies, or a cult. I mean, however you view the Bible. Now, just granted, whatever you view the Bible, that is what you're going to see when you read the Bible. So somebody who's coming in saying, okay, this book is just a bunch of book of fairy tales, there's nothing, that's all they're going to see. And they're going to get angry as they read it because they're like, how can people believe in this garbage? There are people like that. But then there are people who'll be like, you know something, everything in here is absolutely true. I'm going to read this, I'm going to absorb it, I'm going to see how this affects my life and the world around me. And it all depends how you personally take the word that you read. Ignore ignorance. I try to ignore ignorance, but you can't. Ignorance is all around us. In the present moment, in the presence of being aware of thoughts instead of lost to them, we need to read the words for ourselves. Absolutely. I've been in it for 40 years. I'm not a bot. Okay, but it's just funny. You say the same things that everybody else is saying. Yes, there is top social media content creators who hate Jesus Christ. Okay, so even if they hate Jesus Christ, why would a non-believer constantly want to go into a believer's live just to disrupt the live to say that they don't believe in Jesus? And I mean, what purpose does that have? So even if top creators hate Jesus, okay, so that person hates Jesus. You know that they hate Jesus. So why would somebody who's a believer go into there to disrupt the hate? And on the flip side, for a believer, why would a non-believer come into a live to disrupt it? Not you, but the Hebrew, the guy who was saying Yahuwah. King James first translated. If they call it airplanes because they fly in the sky, why don't they call boats water? See, like that has absolutely nothing, but you know something? That is a good question. Why don't they call it water planes? That's a stupid question, but okay. The Geneva Bible, indeed, good works, facts, sister. Hello. If I translate something, I'm going to translate it according to my doctrine. I don't think God wants us to get lost in our thoughts about the word. But you know, something I think a lot of people do. I do too. I try to overanalyze things, and that's probably my downfall. I know that they're saying this, but this is what they mean, or this is what they really mean. Whatever you say, Larry Bird is arguably the top five of all time. Okay, so you like basketball. Okay. Stop eating hamburgers before praying to Jesus. The brilliancy that you give John. Whatever. Well, you can rest on the second day if you're tired. You know something? I think that's what exactly happened. And in regards to the seventh day, it's interesting how even our own calendar has ignored the Sabbath because it's all political. Like somebody said this, why does one group um, use the Sabbath on Saturday and another group uses the Sabbath on Sunday? Well, because that's a political thing. By one group having Saturday and the other group having Sunday, guess what? Your markets are now open 24/7 and everything doesn't have to be closed on one day. And that's also why they did away with the blue laws. Um, I remember growing up as a kid, everything was closed on Sunday. Nothing was open on Sunday. Like the only things that was open on Sunday were hospitals, like that kind of thing. Um, and then they did away with blue laws, and now everything's open like 24/7. You agree with me about the sermons in church? Traveler, that was a different culture. Go to the Gaza Strip and see the suffering. You're sitting, you're going, you know something, Terry? You could just, you were bringing up about the cancer babies and about this and that. If you want to live your life that everything is about suffering, okay, that's all you're going to say. Seriously, I'm not denying that there is suffering out there. There is absolutely suffering out there. But if that's all you open your eyes to, that's all you're going to see. AI says we're debating translations and interpretations of the Bible. Share your thoughts. Okay, at least it's still good. I got to be careful. So when the AI summary gets a little bad, and this is I'm still on my restriction, so I got to be careful what I say and how I say. Sounds like I'm a bot 100%. You know what? I think I'm at the point where I'm a bot too. Misty, welcome to the show. Misty's in the house. It's great to see you. I'm just a little behind. Trying to catch up. So every day, the Catholic Church offers plenary indulgence to those who read the Bible for 30 minutes. Do they? What exactly is a plenary indulgence? I'm curious. I don't know. Gluttony is a sin. See, like I said, Terry, you say you're not a bot, but that's exactly what a bot would say. You could say you're a real person. Well, then you know something? This is what I'm going to say. you can absolutely be a real person. And I bet there are other real people out there. But yet you're all collective in the same Borg mindset. If you are not happy with my appearance, why are you here? If you're not happy with God, why are you here? If you like, is that all it is? Is that the joy that people have, is just to disrupt somebody else's happiness? Is that what the thriving is? Like you spoke about suffering. I almost want to say, is that where your suffering is? Is that you are so unhappy with things that all you see is negativity and all you want to do is spread negativity? And that's a valid question. I miss you, baby. I know. This is my baby. She gets, I guess, you know what it is? She's happy that I'm back. We are bog, you will be assimilated, resistance is futile. I know, Fallon, I made that reference, and I say that because I almost wonder if that is our spiritual connection. I really do. I mean, I know it's a sci-fi thing, but it makes me wonder if that is why and how we're all interconnected. A plenary indulgence is a gift you can re-gift to those in need of it. That's interesting. I never heard of that. That's why I was just curious. I'm just going to write that down. Plenary indulgence. And sometimes I should write today's date down. 3/23. It is a Monday. Monday. Okay. Are you going to get down and stop interrupting? All right. I've been saying this, I think over an hour and a half has passed. Yeah, it's been an hour and a half. It's time to pray. I think we need to pray. I'm going to pray. I'm also going to do my little scripture in a jar. Did I have my book? And I'm going to do my little book right here. And then once I do those three things, we're going to get to First Samuel, because I want to get to back to the story of David, because David and Saul, that they keep butting heads together, and I want to see how the story develops. All right, so you're going to pray with me, or you're going to be all interrupting? Okay, I think she's going to pray with me. Message in a bottle. Yeah, I'm actually enjoying these. These are read me when you're like happy, upset. They're all Bible verses, and I've just been randomly grabbing one and just seeing what it has to say. Like, I don't even go by the color. I mean, I'll match the color with what it means, but it's like I don't even look. I just take one out and read what it says. And usually it's spot on to exactly. So, are you going to pray with me? You're absolutely going to pray. If not, you're going to be good. So, like I do with everybody who prays, I don't care what God you pray to. You could pray to whoever you want. If you decide not to pray in this moment, then you know something? Just take a moment to reflect upon yourself and be grateful that you're alive. That's how I look at it. But me, on the other hand, I am going to pray. Hello, Sarah. Welcome to the show. You came just in time for our prayer. Just a castaway, an island lost at sea. I'll send an SOS to the world. I have no idea what that means. Is that from Castaway, the movie? I have no idea. It's probably a reference to something that I'm missing. But seriously, let's pray. So, dear Heavenly Father, I come to you with humbleness, with gratefulness, with thankfulness. Every day, you allow me a chance to worship, honor, to be positive, happy, and to live in your presence every day. I come today in this group that we may be able to share wisdom, that we may have discernment, that we may understand the word that you have written before us to help us, teach us, and guide us. I thank you so much for everything that you provide. If there's anybody who needs a little extra prayer, who needs some understanding, who needs some help and guidance, I pray that you open your arms and you shelter and protect them. In Jesus' name, amen. So, are you thankful for this life? Oh, wait. Okay, I thought there was a question. I missed what it said, but thank you so much to whatever, because I was too busy praying. But I guess thankful said something really, really bad. But thank you for getting him out of here. If it was that Jesus was hung on a tree, not a cross. What? Okay, you know what? I'm not even going to ask what what thankful, well, whatever. Oh. But you know something, to answer that question, I am absolutely thankful. I really am, because I said this to Chris. I says, for me, I will admit that when I get happy, I get overly happy. Like, I get really, really excited and really, really joyful. And I say that to him because I have spent too many years crying. I've spent too many years in tears in my eyes. So for me to finally be smiling and joyful and happy, nobody's going to take that away from me. I'm not going to allow anybody to take. And I'm going to basically enjoy as much as I can, because I know time is not going to be forever. While my soul may be forever, me in my physical form right now is not going to be forever. So I want to enjoy every moment that I can and as much as I can. And I'm going to continue to do that because I'm choosing to live instead of choosing to exist. Are you supposed to pray out loud or in your mind? Because I believe the devil can hear our prayers. And you know something, Jada, I absolutely agree with that as well. And that was one of the questions I had, because originally I used to pray with him. I used to simply close my eyes and in silence pray. Then somebody said, actually speak the words. And there is definitely a different frequency in prayer when you start speaking out loud compared to within. I personally believe whether you do it within or out loud, that God is going to hear no matter what. Because one could say this, okay, are you going to deny that a mute who can't speak is not going to have a relationship with God? Can you say that there are people who don't have internal monologues or dialogues in their head? Are you going to say that just because they can't visualize a prayer within, that they're not talking to God? I mean, from my perspective, your relationship to God is how you decide to do it. Me, I turn to prayer both on a verbal and a internal thing. I pray in both ways. And I don't just pray once a day. I pray multiple times a day. I pray for different reasons, different things. But most of the time my prayers are based on thankfulness. Oh, thank you so much, Sarah. I appreciate that. I'm not sure how to pray. I think the best way, and like I said, for me, I didn't know how to pray. When I started this live 105, I'm on 105 days. When I started this live 105 days ago, a friend of mine actually wrote a prayer for me. I had it on a little index card and I actually was reading it. I would read the prayer. But then I realized, why am I just reading words on a paper? Why am I just dictating? And I put that aside, but I held that to my heart because it's like, okay, every day is going to be something different. And that is why every day I'm going to pray slightly different, because maybe I might need a prayer for safety, or a prayer for a stress free day, or maybe a prayer for like, you know what I mean? Like, every day is going to change, and I try to adjust it based on what my personal need is for that day. The cross was made from a tree, so both are true. You don't have to say anything if you don't want to. Yeah, exactly. If you want to pray within, pray. Aw, thank you, Sarah. I feel smiling. The devil may hear our words, but Jesus is stronger. Um, I see this in a very, very interesting thing. I do believe in demons. I do believe in evil. I believe that people can be so consumed by it. And while Jesus, God, is stronger, if somebody is trapped and blind and doesn't see those options, then sadly the evil becomes so powerful in their life that they don't see any way out of it. They're too blinded to see the strength that they have. And to me, that's one of the saddest things. And it's when people fall to their own depression or their own addiction. I got to be careful what I'm saying, but you guys know what I mean, is when they succumb to the evil in their life. Um, Disagree. Romans made up the cross. The ancestors of Jesus were all hung on trees. Who actually cares if the devil hears our prayers? Nothing could stop us. Make the devil fear you. That's good point. Aw, thank you. Thank you as well, Jada. And welcome to the show. You start praying, the devil says, man, I'm not news. It's true though. I mean, like I said, when we start praying, when we start reading the word, when we start using Jesus' name, it's amazing how notice the trolls go completely quiet, the stupidity gets quiet, the outlandish questions disappear. The Romans are the ones that crucified Jesus. Bring me up. Let's. Why are you okay with a God that's something? Good textbook. There's your textbook line. That's why I almost wonder if. Okay, no God needed. If no God's needed, then guess what? We don't need you either. There you go. Okay. Um, yeah, demons are definitely real. Which I will say this: after reading the Book of Enoch, demons are definitely the Nephilim. That answers my question. I questioned originally, where do demons come from? Are they gods? Are they this and that? I am convinced that demons are totally the Nephilim. They are um, the spirits that are locked in, because the Nephilim are a completely different entity. It's half human, half spirit. They were giants. They were more powerful than humans are, and that's why the flood came the first, was to get rid of the Nephilim to begin with. But either, and this is the part that's questionable, is either the Nephilim survived the flood, that's why there was still Nephilim with the children of Israel, or either more angels came down, or the original fallen angels were still procreating with humans, and that's why they're still Nephilim. 21 came in. You're just a kid. You have your whole life ahead of you. At Lance. Okay, I missed something. I think it's the same body. Well, that's what I'm saying. It's like, even if it's a real person, I wonder. I mean, okay, this is going to be odd to say. I really, really wonder. This is a strange theory I have. Are there clusters of people who think the same way simply because of their genetic makeup? And when I say think the same way, because, all right, I hate to use politics, but politics is a perfect example. It's like, how can you have a cluster of people who are right and who are left, who are Democrat, who are Republican, who are conservative, who are liberal? How can you have these extremes that are on both sides, but they both have such strong beliefs? They both have, like, you know what I mean? They're all set in their ways. There's no way you're going to change their belief. There's no way you're going to reason with either side. I mean, I'm talking about the both extreme sides. There's no sense. And it's like they all say the same thing over and over. Same thing happens with the bots. All the bots are saying the same thing over and over and over again. And if they say that they're not bots, I'm calling them bots anyway, because they're like a collective Borg of the same statements. Um, yeah, there's a lot of unknowns we have to try to guesstimate. I believe we're supposed to care, because if you're lukewarm, then the devil can manipulate what you're asking for and give you instant gratification. I am one of 6 children, all the same mom and dad, and we are split 50-50. Are you really? But now, when you say split 50-50, are you talking politics or are you talking religion? I'm just curious about that. Or is it a combination of things? Um, I will say this: my ex was number 18. He was the youngest of 18. That's all I have to say. Talk about being fruitful. I said to him, I'm like your mom. I'm like, okay, so her legs shut or something. Sorry. I think some of us has to do with our twisted miseducation school system. Absolutely. And the school system's getting even worse. Actually, that's an excellent question. You know something? I'm going to present something to you, 21. Well, not present, but this is a question I have, and obviously, if I have a question, many other people have a question. What I find fascinating about the Adam and Eve story is if they did not partake of the fruit at all, they do not partake. Let's just say they never took the tree of knowledge of good and evil. Before the tree of knowledge of good and evil that they bit from, their rule was to be fruitful and multiply. So the idea of them procreating was in existence. They were going to procreate. My question is, were they going to procreate the same way we do now? And the reason why I say that is because I feel like, and it's even explained, that childbirth was a curse that the Lord placed upon. That childbirth was going to be painful. That how a baby came out was going to be sinful. So I'm curious, if they never partake from the fruit, was the act of conception and childbirth going to be sinful, painful, or anything like that? Because part of me is thinking, and I know this sounds crazy, that it's more than just them eating of the fruit. I think that they literally was having sex, possibly a threesome, because Adam partaked of the fruit as well. But remember, the serpent wasn't a serpent until after the fruit was taken. He was an upright creature. So, and it may make sense as to why Cain was evil if the serpent was Cain's father. Who knows? I mean, it's something to think about. But yes, did Adam and Eve have belly buttons? They wouldn't have. However, their children should have had belly buttons, but that's only after childbirth became a curse. Okay, instant gratification, and you believe it's from God when it's not. Good point. And that's where the devil can manipulate, because he gives you that instant gratification, he gives you that momentary happiness, and it's never good enough. There's always that greed of where you want one. Oh, so politically your family is split. Okay, that must be interesting during holidays when you come together. I, I've always tried. I I have different political views than some of my family members. I don't even discuss it. Like I've come to terms that you just don't talk about it. You just let them blabber on. Don't hear it, don't see it. That's how I look at it. Oh, you heard that I acknowledged I was away from the keyboard. I've been trying to catch you live. Thank you, Misty. Yes, I did acknowledge you. Welcome to the show. We're having an interesting. This is my daily show. I try to make it daily, but things have been happening. So, oh, which speaking of which, guys, tomorrow I do have a doctor's appointment. That's all I have is doctor's appointments. So it's getting crazy. So tomorrow I'm not going to have a show. In fact, I'm going to have multiple doctor's appointments, but we're not going to talk about that. I already talked about it. All right. So 5 out of 6 agree on the most part on religion. Okay. How do high schoolers not know the difference between a state and a country? You know something, Fallon? I often wonder when they do those interviews on the street of like common and general knowledge, and part of me thinks it can't be true, but then I realize it absolutely can be true. Like it when you start seeing, you could say ignorance, or when you start seeing the people that you love exhibit ignorance or things that they should know but they don't know, it's shocking. It really is. I mean, I don't even know how to describe it. And I mean, we all have our weaknesses. There are things like for me personally, I am horrible when it comes to anything with tools or cars or mechanical things. I can't even identify tools. So it's kind of funny because Chris, that's his thing. He's Mr. Fix It. Everything is it's all about fixing and tools and this and that. And it's funny how we clash when I'm trying to figure out a specific tool I need, but I don't know the name of the tool and I have to try to describe what the tool is and he just looks at me in shock like, how do you not know that? Don't know anything. But you're right. How do they not know the difference? The big thing is if they weren't exposed to it, if they weren't paying attention when they were exposed to it, and if they just don't care and they don't want to learn. How a baby coming out isn't sinful. Um, it's just painful. But see, that's okay. What I meant by the sinful part is okay. Am I wrong? The act of the sex, the consummation, is the sin part, and then the baby coming out is the painful part. And then I've always questioned, which I think we talked about this a while ago, in regards to at what age does a child no longer be innocent? Because okay, it's the whole idea. If a child has never doesn't have the capabilities of accepting Jesus or being baptized or something like this, does that mean they don't go to heaven? I don't know. I mean, but they always say that Jesus loves the children, and you would be shocked at the university students that didn't know how to address an envelope. It's not only that. I mean, I say kids, but we have to realize that they're adults. But nowadays, they don't know how to address an envelope. They don't know how to tell time. They don't know how to write in script. They don't know how to fill out a checkbook. I mean, things now granted, okay, checks are obsolete, but things that they should know how to do, like common sense things, they don't know how to load a dishwasher. That one aggravates me. It's like common sense things that they should know. Is it really, I mean, I call it situational awareness. I feel like society now does not have situational awareness. Like they don't have an awareness as to what's going on in the world around them or how to interact or respond to the world around them. And I feel like that's what's happening with today's generation. That's the serpent lives inside you, the kundalini of the spine. A seraphim, kundalini, or wear the stamp. Guess in an envelope. They also, yeah, they don't teach cursive anymore. It's sad, and I mean, I I always said that we are raising a class of idiots, but nowadays it's getting worse, and because everything can be, I'm going to say this: the phone, the internet is the best and the worst thing at the same time, because you have access to a wealth of information where you could learn anything and everything that you want. But that's just it. You have access to, so why should I even bother learning anything if I could just type it up and pull it up? Why should I remember anything if, but what happens if technology is no longer there? I mean, we have digitized everything to the point that what happens when there's no longer a digital footprint? That's why books are so. Say Cain and Abel together. Can Abel? Can Abel? Cain, Cain and Abel. Cain and I know you're trying to have a word, but I'm not hearing what the word is. Can Abel? Some women have experienced euphoric births, so I think it was supposed to have been enjoyable. I know some women had easy births, other ones were pain. But I mean, even the in the Bible, I mean, in Genesis, that was. the Lord's curse to women. I mean, the Lord, that was one of the first curses, which is a generational curse if you think about it. The Lord, based on one woman's actions, well, one man, one woman, has condemned the entire human race, if you think about that. So, no political views anymore after reading Romans 13. My favorite interviewers are the ones that just answer yes after the crazy answers. Yeah, like the ones. How many U.S. states are there? 52. Yes, I think somebody said how many dimes make up a dollar, and like she was on the right track. She was figuring out. She's like, well, 10 cents and a dime is 10 cents, but then she started saying a quarter, and I think by the end of it, she was saying like 400 dimes equals a dollar. Or something like that. It's like what? Just like yes. Oh yeah, yeah. That's what how many quarters make up dollar. Okay, I think we watched the same video because it was like what? Like yes. Why go to the doctor tomorrow? You're demonstrating unbelief. Wait, on your healing or that you don't believe? No. Something, I will answer why I'm going to the doctor because I know that there are certain things that I need to address in my own health, body, and wellness. And for me, that's what it is. It's mind, body, and spirit. So, in order to align all three of them, there are certain things I need to check out and become aware of. So, for example, I mean, this is a bad example, but are you going to tell somebody who's deadly allergic to peanuts, here, have some peanut butter and enjoy some peanut butter? No, they're going to find out, okay, they're going to go to a, is that what the issue is, that I'm having a problem with peanut butter? What do I have to do to fix it? What do I have? And I mean, that's just an example. It's the same thing with me. I'm going to go to the doctor to determine, okay, there is something that's not normal in my everyday occurrence. So, what could the issue be? Why is it? And what do I have to do to fix that? Misty says no life skills. Absolutely. And for me, like I said, situational awareness or even common sense. How many states does the US have? 56. Yes. I know exactly which guy you're talking about. It's like, you should stay with the little. It's like, yes. Hey, Nicole, welcome to the show. Oh, AI says we're debating the origin of childbirth and knowledge gaps. I love I love how AI gives a stupid summary of what we're talking about. God uses people to help other people. It's not unbelief, it's doing your part. And I mean, I look at The Chosen, and I find it very interesting because there was a couple of miracles that happened. Now, whether you believe in the miracles, that's not the point. But the people believed in the miracle. So there was the one woman that's like just touching your fringe on your clothing. That's all she wanted to do. She was healed. The the Roman soldier knew that bringing Jesus to his house would have been an insult for both of them. So he had belief that all you have to do is say the word. I know you can heal my son. I know you can heal it. Just say it. And it was his faith. So I believe that's what it has to do is what your faith and belief is will help you out. Nicole says doctors are sometimes God's hand and feet of the earth. Hello, hi Angel, welcome to the show. And something I agree with that. Like for example, when I was 21, my gallbladder burst. I had pancreatitis and my gallbladder burst. I had to get surgery. I should have, I should have, my life should have, that's what should have happened. But it was through modern day medicine, through surgery, through drugs, medications, I should say, not drugs, medications, that I was able to not only survive that, but to live the rest of my life fairly healthy. I mean, maybe not now, maybe my health is deteriorating, but I mean, at 21, for that type of event to happen where it should have ceased my existence, I was able to turn around and it was through modern medicine. I'm not going to deny that. He asked the servant what time his son was healed, so he knew it was the same time that Jesus spoke it. Absolutely. We have a part to do. We can't do God's job and he will not do ours. Everybody's saying, hey, so you choose modern day medicine over prayer. Now, see, you're putting words in my mouth. What is wrong with using both? Seriously, what's wrong with using both? What's wrong with modern day medicine and prayer? Partnering with God through our obedience, that's part of being there's a something I want to give an interesting story. And I know I'm paraphrasing this story, but it's the story of this guy who falls off a boat and he's pretty much in the water drowning. And he says, I'm praying because God's going to save me. God's going to save me. So a little boat comes by, like a little raft, and say, "Hey, am I going to help you?" It's like you're going to come in the boat, and the guy is in the water. He's like, "No, no, no. God is going to save me. You don't have to help me. God's going to save me." And meantime, he's drowning. So the guy's like, "But I'm here. You can come in the boat." No, no, I'm going to stay. And then another boat comes along. And the boat's like, "Hey, what are you doing there? Let me help you out." And the guy's like, "No, no, no. God's going to save me. God's going to save me." Well, the moral of that story is God kept providing a way to help that person. But that person was so set on God Himself coming down when God provided the way. So, what is wrong with saying that modern day medicine is God's way of helping you, of providing, of fixing the problem that you have? So, you say, what is wrong with you? You guys are the one that believe in miracles. We absolutely can believe in miracles. And you know something? I believe in the miracles all around me. So, what is to say that wasn't a miracle in itself? I was dying. I gotta be careful. I was in the hospital because my life was about to end. For me, that was a miracle that modern day medicine was able to save me because I did have belief. I did pray. I did because I remember. I mean, I this is funny because I literally remember that I did reach out and prayed, and you know something, I survived. So I almost want to say is what's wrong with you with not seeing the miracle within that? Oh, Bree Bree, have a good one. Take care. If you have a thyroid condition, have to take medicine for it. God gives man the knowledge of medicine. Absolutely. I totally agree with that. Great story. God provides in many ways. He gives us the wisdom to choose. And in that instance where I was talking about the guy drowning, the guy made a choice because he wouldn't accept the help that was already there for him. There was a boat that could have saved him. No, God was going to save me. But he didn't realize that that was how God was saving him. So God takes time to provide the knowledge for the cure of cancer. Guess what? He actually did provide the cure for cancer, but it's not God that's giving us the cancer. It's society, man, science, and our own leaders who are preventing the cure for cancer. Read up on that one. All right. He put the right doctors there for you at the right. Absolutely. And you know something? I will agree with that because interesting. I mean, gallbladder is pretty much an in it. I mean, it's no big deal of a operation. The fact is, I went through 8 different bedmates who were all in for the same thing, but me, it was more serious because mine actually burst. And when they did the test where they put the camera down your esophagus to look at what's going on, they punctured my pancreas. So I had a double whammy. I had pancreatitis and I had a burst gallbladder. So I was in the hospital for quite some time. But you know something? To me, that was a miracle. I survived. I mean, it was funny because they even said they're like you're too young I was only 21 years old. I was 21 years old. And they even said, they're like, gallbladder, the patients I was with were in their 50s and 60s. And yet I'm a 21-year-old with a burst gallbladder. Um, Jasmine, thank you so much. Have a blessed day as well. Thank you, God, for. Are you really going to be okay? So thankful came back. I'm going to mute you. We're not going to. I almost want to say, are you really going to be thanking for that? That's disgusting. Um, but what man does it? Is that up to them? So for every pandemic in human history, God gave us the knowledge, and humans. Yeah, I'm going to say this: God has given us the knowledge of everything, but the question is, who are you going to listen to? Think about that for a second. Taking care of your body is doing your part. We have to avoid all the processed food. Absolutely. Um, Refuse to let us know. Do you genuinely believe that every plague, every disease? I do. Yes, I personally believe that every plague, every disease, everything has a cure. It's just we're not being exposed or told about the cure, or we've been told about the cure, but nobody believes it. And yeah, I agree with that. Humans are evil by nature. There, there are. If you think about it this way, there are financial. Um, what's the word I want to use? There are financial reasons as to why it would be better for society to not have the cure for cancer. There are powerful reasons as to why, because we're not talking about humankind. We're talking about for the greed and for the selfishness of nations. It's better to have your people suffer. It's better to have your people poor. It's better to have your people ignorant. So, with all these things, yes, I do believe man has caused, I'm going to say man with the addition of evil in our lives, those are the ones that are causing the problems. Not my point. I'm saying that you're telling us God has the ability to guide us all to cure and let us know. But according to you guys, for some reason, he takes his time for others. No, I think you're putting words in our mouth. That's what I do. God has given people free will. And remember, when it comes to free will of one person can corrupt, stop, and prevent another person's free will from coming into play. It really can. I like how you say that. Do you call unto God in times of trouble? That's the key. Right. If you're in pain, if you're in trouble, what do? Do you call onto something that will give you hope, that will give you motivation, that will give you a drive? Or do you just dwell on the depression, the anxiety, the negativity surrounding the troubleness? Immediate deliverance is not certain. God has a perfect time for everything. Yeah, I agree with that. And I mean, I hate to say this, not that I'm trying to will it, but I feel time is running out. I do. And you know something? I'm not upset that time is running out. I mean, yeah, there are things I wished I could do, and that's why every moment I am taking my life as joyful as possible. Sometimes in its way, it's giving us a test. So, yeah, I agree with that. It's one big test, Nicole. I think everything we do is such a big test. Now, you know something? I said I was going to do this, and I said I was going to do this. So I want to let me pick. Let me pick one. So let's see what we got. I'm not looking. I have no idea. We are doing pink. I'm curious. What is pink? Pink is being thankful. Okay, so let's see what this says. So this is from 1 Corinthians 15:57. So wow, that's 15:57. Yeah. Okay. But thanks be to God who gives us the victory through our Lord Jesus Christ. There you go. But thanks be to God who gives us victory through our Lord Jesus Christ. 1 Corinthians 15:57. Sometimes it's his way of giving a test, so we have testimony. And when we're taking a test, the teacher is there but does not talk, right? Because the teacher watches, but it's up to us to actually take the test because the teacher already gave us the knowledge, already gave us the information at hand. It was up to us in order to take that information, use that information, remember that information. So, what was God's perfect time to decide sea deaths need to decrease and the bubonic plague deaths should decrease? Ooh. You know something? I would be bad if I answer that. Was it God's timing to decide that, or was it man's? Because from my perspective, that whole thing was all man's evilness on how they responded. That's how I look at it. Yes, that is a word in due season for someone. I do have to say, I find it interesting for the people who talk like that were probably the same people who were the first ones to mask up, to yell at people who did not take the, and I got to be careful, who did not take the stabby stabby, and are probably the first people who were so outspoken, but yet now, pure silence. Nobody talks about it. They act like the last 5 years never happened, that they never acted that way and stuff like that. So, I mean, I almost want to say, go get another booster shot. Why not? Go sign up for more of the drive through boosters. There you go. People, yes, that doesn't mean God is not intentional. I understand that people, but what you just said, God has a perfect, which He does. You better watch your words. Me or someone else? I want to know the deciding factor that made God know when to decrease for these two. Okay, well, see, that's what it is. That's the wrong question. Hiatus, you're asking a ridiculous question because it has nothing to do with God increasing or decreasing those two things. Look at the factors as to why those things did decrease. And that'll answer your question. And from my perspective, has nothing to do with God. So if you're saying it's up to man, you're telling me anyone who freely chooses God have the it got chopped off. Should be able to guide themselves to the answer for the cure, but they didn't. Exactly. I mean, okay, I can say this. I will say this. Is there a cure for cancer? Absolutely. There are 3 proven cures for cancer. I'm not going to say it. Actually, I can't even say that. I have to be careful. Sorry, guys. There are ways to alleviate that particular problem. But A, people don't believe it. B, society doesn't allow the research into those to make it acceptable. Lobbyists from pharmaceuticals sure as hell do not want that cure, which is so easy, out there to the general people because they got $1 billion industry. Why should they give up all the money for a cure that's going to save thousands? All right. Yeah, oh yeah, I have to be careful. Okay, yeah. You were warning me I better watch my words. I have to watch my words. But yeah, they look, you know something, I do have to say this with the drive-through. I thought that was the most ridiculous things. I mean, no offense. You really think I want some CVS employee who doesn't give a damn about their job to inject something in me that they don't even know what it actually is. And if you ever opened up the disclosure was a completely blank thing because they wouldn't even disclose what they were actually giving you. So yeah, but I do have to be careful what I say. I don't want to get kicked off. Okay, if you're saying man telling me anyone to freely choose, okay, so that should be God themselves, and God clearly doesn't give them to people who choose God themselves, don't get the answer. We cannot do anything apart from God. With God, all things are possible. Absolutely. I just told you why things with God aren't possible either. Debating if God or humanity caused them to go. I so got to be careful. Hi, Constance. Welcome to the show. I got to be careful with what's going on because I easily see this. I'm getting kicked off again. I got to be careful. All right. And here we had churches doing. Did they do it? Okay. No offense. I even find something wrong with that. Like they should not. I don't want a shot from somebody who's never you understand what I'm saying? Like to me that's the insanity of that. Oh, you just walked in. I know I have to be careful what I say because I already got banned already. So but yes. Oh, you find something wrong with that too. Okay. I was just trying to okay. I was trying to understand because I'm like, what are the churches doing drive-throughs? Like, don't do that. Although there is a church here that is kind of interesting. They do free drive-up breakfast every Monday morning along with prayer. Now, I saw it and I thought it was amazing, but you could go to the church, you drive up, they'll give you like a little coffee and they'll give you either like a biscuit or a muffin or something like that, and they'll pray for you. It has nothing to do with the food. I thought that was the most amazing thing I've ever seen, and I've passed it so many times. I've never actually went there because on one end I feel like that's kind of a gimmicky thing. I mean, I know it's trying to get people, but it's like I don't need breakfast, so that's I want to leave it to people who can use the food, who, you know what I'm saying. But I just think it's an amazing thing, like something like that, like you can drive up, get breakfast and get prayer and get what you need. Kind of cool. But that was just my side on that. I'm sorry. Oh, I think I just invited somebody. Hopefully that person doesn't join in. I don't know who I invited. I just invited Kubana Babibi. I'm hoping. I'm hoping they don't say yes. Like, who is this person? I'm gonna give somebody. Hi, my name is Kubana Babibi. Sorry. Something, Misty. I think it is a good way. I just thought it was an interesting thing. Like I passed it. I saw the big sign. It's like breakfast and prayer, and they do it every Monday. So when I pass it every now and then, I just whatever. Um, it's interesting. Yeah. I don't even know what I'm like blabbering. All right, let me go to this. Now, I'm not selling this book or anything. I pulled this book off my shelf. It's 365 Days for Positive Self Talk. But what I realized is, even though these are non denominational mantras or inspirational quotes, I find it interesting when you start putting this in religious aspects. So we are on, I'm going to call this day 16, and it's the 23rd. So let's see what today says. In my life, who I am and the path I choose is not in competition with anyone else or the path they have chosen. Instead of worrying about trying to do better than someone else, I just focus on doing my best. Now, that's the quote. Now let's start taking this on a religious aspect. Because in my life, who I am and the path I choose under the grace and glory of God, of Jesus, is not in any competition with anybody else because they're all in their own path. Instead of worrying about trying to do better than all of you, I'm just going to focus on doing my best. And I'm just going to focus on my belief, my love, my obedience, and my prayer to God above. So, what my path is should not make any difference to anybody around me. And I want to share that with everybody else. I really believe we're all on our own path. Just because my path is different than yours doesn't negate my. But like I said, when it comes to, and I'm putting all the trolls together. Why should they destroy or try to look down or try to change my path just because my road is a different road than yours? You know something? Take your own road, follow your own road, see where it leads to, and enjoy every moment of it. Don't destroy somebody else's path because you don't agree with it. So, okay. In your opinion, your belief does not move God. The Lord is moved through faith. When we give God our time, He multiplies it. Absolutely. He does. I really believe that. And I say this because, I mean, Misty, I want to give lots of love to you for a minute. And I hope you don't mind me talking about this, but I know Misty on a personal level. Like, we know each other real time. And to watch how her life has changed and how she has really blossomed. Even though for me it was from a distance, it's beautiful. And at the same time, I look at where my life has gone. Oh, yeah, I knew you were going to say that. I know. I look at where my life is, and it's funny how there's a lot of parallels. I'm sorry. It's funny how there's parallels. But for me, and I say this with the honest truth, and this is the really is a year and a half ago, I completely gave up. I gave up, and I gotta be careful. Got to be careful with the green. I gave up completely. There was like I took the book of Melanie and I threw it in the fire, and I'm like, that's it. I'm done. I would have never ever expected the doors that opened up to my life the moment I gave up on my life. And for me personally, that in itself is my miracle, is my testimony. Because not only was a door opened up for me, it was opened up so powerful that I never had to look back at the doors behind me. I never did. We had the same lives going on, two different households, done the same wrong, and I was yeah, I was raised in the church as well, but yet I completely turned my back. I mean, Chris, um, Chris has said he may have turned his back on the church, but he never turned his back against God. Me, on the other hand, not only did I turn my back on church, I completely turned my back on God. I wanted nothing to do with God. For me, God was, and I had a big chunk of my life godless. I also know where being godless destroyed a big chunk of my life. I mean, I see the difference now. I mean, I almost want to say that's probably the greatest thing that I can give advice to when it comes to non-believers is that, believe me, I know why it's acceptable to be a non-believer. I know the anger and the resentment and the non-motivation and the depression and all those things that I felt when I did not believe. And believed as a child, but I think that time period was when you had turned away. But you have, I did believe as a child. I was the revival kid. The 80s, in the 80s, I was the revival kid. I went to all the different revivals with my family. And I mean, although during that time, Televangelists were like the big thing. Not as big now because I almost feel like everybody is televised now. But back then, like there were so many different televangelists, and then to actually see them real time, to go to a Billy Graham revival or an Oral Roberts revival, Benny Hinn. There's so many of them that I went to go see. What's it say? But you come so far, you moved to your town, and I came to West Texas, and we all exactly, absolutely. That's so true. And I mean, I know we're like worlds apart now, but we both grew in our separate. We both found Chris in our life. Like, oh my Chris. I have no idea what that means. So, do I even have to translate that? I don't even know what that means. Whoops. Uh, it's not even something to translate. Okay, whatever. Found in our new lives, exactly. And I mean, that's what I mean about the doors being opened. Um, I would have. I mean, if you questioned me 2 years ago, if I thought my life was going to be here, would have never thought. Absolutely never. I never thought I would be in a family with the man I love, getting married. Like I never thought that would. I may not have children, but to actually be a stepmom with kids in my life is just amazing. Um, my grandmother told me I have to quit the opioids, but I can't because I'm addicted. Now, RJ, I mean, okay, this is what I'm going to say to you. We all have our addictions. And the fact that you can actually admit to yourself and admit to others that you are addicted is the first way for help. Now, there are so many programs out there depending upon what your addiction, like you said, opioids. You could do Al Anon, you could do something like that. The police told me if I don't give up my dealer, I'm going to go to jail. But my dealer is my friend. So, you know something? You got to think of it that way. Is he necessarily a friend? A friend doesn't necessarily um, lead you into bad habits. And if he is leading you into bad habits, then you need to define, is it a friend? You got to think of it that way. And I mean, I don't know if the story you're telling me is true or not, but that alone, the police are telling you if you don't give up, you're going to jail. Is that where you want to spend your life? Missy says me either, but you deserve all of it. When are you getting married? Um, I have a case coming up in June. So depending upon the outcome of the case is going to depend upon if it's right away or if it's something a little bit down the line. But hopefully by the end of this year, we're absolutely. So, because basically I'm in a settlement case, and that'll be a life changer. I will just say this: if that case goes through, it's going to be a life changer, and then we can really change our lives and do what we need to do. All right. So your dealer's your friend. Yeah, you're right. He only hangs out with me when I. Okay. So you know what? This is where you take charge of yourself. First thing I would say is sever your ties with him. Second thing I would say is join a group where you can talk. Al Anon, AA, Narcotics Anonymous, and NA, whatever you want to join. Because one of the first things they do in a 12-step program is they want you to have a higher power in your life. Because the fact is, you need a higher power in your life. At this point, you are not in control of yourself. You are not, you have been abusing yourself because you're giving into your addiction. Now it's time to pray, to ask forgiveness, and to change your ways. And if you're really, really serious about it, like I said, join AA, join NA, join like whichever one it is. Like, did you get the invite? I didn't get any invite from you. Misty, we're going to have to talk. I didn't get anything from you. We're gonna have to talk. Send me a message privately, and we'll talk about that. Okay. You're getting married in 8 weeks on May 30th. Wait. When's May? Okay, we're in March, April, May. So that's 2 months from now. It's in 8 weeks. Okay, I had no idea, Misty. I didn't get an invite. You gotta. I'm gonna cry. I would have felt awful if you sent an invite and I never got an invite, and then everything's like, why did you come? She didn't. I'm like, I never got an invite. Sorry. I would absolutely go. All right. Confess to God, be completely honest about how you feel, and admit the cycle you're stuck in. Absolutely. Ask God to change your heart. Nicole is giving your birthday is May 1st and you're marrying May 30th. Aww. Change your bad habits. I know, I'm sorry. We're having two different conversations here. Poor man, whoever's getting married. Why is that? No, Misty's gonna be getting married. That's gonna be beautiful. I know. I'm gonna cry. I should not be crying. I'm so happy for girl. I'm so happy for you. I really, really am. No. You're fine. Don't be sorry. This is blessed news. I mean, congratulations. I'm so happy for you. But yeah, I see that's the one thing that I had to laugh about. Um, at one point in my life, if I were to get married at one point in my life, I probably would have had hundreds of people there. Now, in talking with Chris, I'm electing not to have a wedding simply because the first thing I said was, who would actually go? And then I get Misty coming and it's like, I said you would invite him, like, you're going to make her cry. Women are emotional, so go ahead and cry. Yes. Women. Women are emotional, so you know something, he created man to lead and not act on his emotions. I'm going to say something interesting. I do not believe God wanted to deny your emotions. I think society has, because society has taught men that they're not allowed to feel, that they're not allowed to have emotions, that they're not allowed to be open. I don't think that's a God thing. I think that's a society thing. But if you want to believe in that thing that, yeah, go ahead and cry because I'm a man and I'm never going to cry. I'm going to act like I'm leading and this and that. Well, yeah, you want to believe in that, that's fine. But you know something? Everybody has emotions. And I think there's absolutely nothing wrong for a man to show his emotions, to be in harmony with his emotions, and to actually feel. It's expensive, and oh, yeah, weddings are expensive. Yeah. That's why I want to see what happens with my settlement. I'm hoping that there's positivity with that, but I've always said that women run on emotions and men do not. We're just wired differently. It's true though. We are. I think we're complementary. We are just completely different, but we're different and complementary. And that's one of the reasons when people start trying to deny who they are naturally and try to be something that they're not, that they're just, yeah. Well, thank you, Misty. Yeah. Hi, sister. God bless you. Love your energy. Oh, thank you, Feisty Loner. I appreciate that, Jasmine. And welcome to the show. Yeah, I'm just going to say this, that up until June, up until my case, I'm on high anxiety about that. I really am. But whatever happens, I mean, whatever happens during that date, it's either going to be in my favor or it's not. And whatever it is, it is. It happens. So I'm going to leave it at that. God does not want us to identify with our thoughts and emotions like women. He wants us to lead. You really believe that? I mean, I almost want to say, like, why so why so stoic? I mean, I almost feel like everything you're saying is completely emotionless, stoic, and it's okay. It's okay to feel. Exactly. It does not hurt for men to have emotions. I almost feel like it hurts a man more not to have emotions. If a man doesn't have emotions, then for me, there's something wrong with him. You know what the funny thing is? I've been on for 2.5 hours and I haven't even started the Bible yet. That's bad, isn't it? Men who are emotional are betas and take after the. Okay, so that's the secret. Okay, now I understand where this is coming from. So because you said that, it obviously is an issue with your parents, your mom. Has to be. Because I almost want to say if that's what you believe, then you've had some issues. I don't know. Maybe a father wasn't in your life or your mom. I don't know, but alphas alphas are led by God. I almost can't. There is a thing where a man stands by a woman in an emotional time strongly, but they can be done vice versa. Absolutely, I agree. Oh my god, I'm just but I see nothing wrong with a man being emotional. Um, Men are allowed to have feelings, and I think it's more of a sign of strength if they can express their feelings and still maintain their strength, their character, and their. You're like, wait, what? It's the whole alphas are led by God. So you think it's all right for a man to be emotional like a woman gets emotional each month? Yes, I do think it's all right for a man to be emotional, and I think a man does need to be in tune with his emotions. Because if he's denying his emotions, why is he denying it? Is it that he's fearful? Is it that he like why be so afraid? What is so damaging to your masculinity by accepting that you could be emotional? There's nothing damaging. So anyway, you can as if a woman is going to allow a man to lead when he's a crybaby. You know what? I almost this is you wanted to pray for me. I want to pray for you because, like I said, your opinions are so stoic and so. I mean, I would pray that you would allow yourself to feel, that you would allow yourself to be emotional. Exactly. I would not want a non emotional man ever again. Light, you and I have both experienced that. Exactly. Absolutely. Um, when I say stoic, I'm talking about rigid to the point. That's sort of what I'm meaning by that. But yeah, I would never want an emotional man ever again. So, all right. So I want to say like matter of fact sort of way. Like uh there's no reasoning, there's no way of I never lose that New York accent. Hello, Marcus. No, I probably never will. I think it has diminished a little bit, but my New York accent will always be there. Non emotional are not caring and loving. They run stone, acting like they just don't care about. I used to identify with my emotions, and that was a problem. So I almost want to say, you used to identify with your emotion, now it's a problem. Well, do you see that you have a problem now? The Bible says God over man, man over woman, woman over children. The Bible says a lot of other stuff too. But you know something, I'm not going to make the assumption that American had the wrong women in their life. I'm not going to make that assumption because you know something, we all potentially can have the wrong people in our lives. But the assumption I am, and maybe this is a wrong assumption, is for somebody who used to be emotional and now is no longer emotional, to me tells me that they shut down themselves, they box themselves up, they close their heart, they're not looking for any openness or anything like that. So to me, yes, that is a sign of trauma, that is a sign of anger, that is a sign of some sort of tragedy happened for whatever reason. And it could be whatever. I mean, it could even be something as simple that as an individual they take as traumatic, where I mean, one of my exes, oh my god, going to the post office or going to the grocery store, that to them was the most traumatic thing that they can ever do. Like just, and I never understood it. Like why would I be with somebody like that? But it's like one of my exes, they could not leave the house because just going out of the house was so detrimentally trauma induced that they couldn't function in life by just going to the store. Um, all right, so American says, I'm now present. If they had a problem with, they can be done with emotions. I have many times. You don't want to change people, though, so it sounds like someone doesn't like it and they changed him. Emotions and thoughts are of the devil. No, they're not. Crying cleanses the soul. Absolutely. Yeah, I agree with that. Crying does cleanse the soul. And I just invited somebody. Oh my God, hopefully they don't come in. I can't stand the fact that as I scroll by, it hits the invites and I can't. I wish there's a way I can get rid of that option, but there's not. Okay. Okay. I think I'm up to date. All right. So you guys can debate amongst yourselves whether men are allowed to have emotions or not. I feel like men absolutely need emotions. Humans go from one extreme to the next. It's okay to have emotions, but it's not okay to let your emotions have you. Absolutely. I agree with that. Yeah. I mean, and you know something? Everything's in moderation. Everything. But you know what? We'll just have to agree to disagree on that. It takes different people to make the world go round. I know, but honestly, I'll tell you something. I feel like we are such in a world where there's such great disconnect that it makes me wonder, like, how can people function the way we function? It's like, I mean, all right, perfect. I mean, I want to say this is a perfect example, but it does show how I feel like we're living in a completely different reality. Is, for example, the dress. Everybody knows the dress. Is it white and gold or is it black and blue? Now, yes, it's just an interpretation of what you see, how your mind manipulates light and colors and visualization. But how is it that one set of people can stand on a mountain and say, that is a white and gold dress? And another set of people could be like, how can you see white and gold? That is clearly a black and blue dress. Oh, call me later. You have to go to work. Thank you, Misty. We'll talk. And make sure, send me the information, but we will talk later. Have a good one. Obviously, we all have emotions. A man should acknowledge the feeling or thought and remain present. Yeah, I mean, emotions can get out of hand, particularly when they are aggressive emotions. I mean, like a man can be very, very angry with explosive anger. And with an explosive anger, they can detach themselves from the present because it can become way too passionate. It can become, and I mean, that's just one example. It could go the other way around. Instead of anger, their emotion at that time could be seen as weakness with them crying. I mean, but that's what happens. I mean, you can't deny your emotions. You can't just shut off your emotions. And if you're shut off your emotions, I feel like you're not living. You're really not. Debating masculinity and emotional expression. Share your views. I'm okay to change the subject. We all have, okay, that's fine. I'm actually going to head to 1 Samuel 24 because it has been over a week and I have not read the Bible yet. We've been talking a lot. I mean, we've been on for 2.5 hours right now. I want to actually get back to the story because, like I said, we are just getting into it where there's David and Saul. Saul is the king of Israel. He's not necessarily a good king. David is climbing up. He already gave his famous foreskins to the king. Like, what was I reading? Seriously, what was I reading? But we already had the foreskin scene. So right now, um, let's start 24. So if anybody wants to read their Bible, and I'm doing a King James version, 1 Samuel chapter 24. And it says we can't show off emotions, but we can stay present and not act on them. Yes, but don't deny them either. Like, I mean, it made it sound like you completely don't want emotions. You like it's a weakness for a man to show his emotions. I believe it's important for a man to come to terms with his emotions, to be able to comfortably express them, to not be in fear or look at it as a society thing. That's how I look at it. All right, chapter 24. It came to pass when Saul was returned from the Philistines that it was told, saying, behold, David is in the wilderness of Engedi. Then Saul took 3,000 chosen men out of all of Israel and went to seek David and his men upon the rocks of the wild goats. He came to the sheepcotes, by the way, where there was a cave, and Saul went in to cover his feet, and David and his men remained at the sides of the cave. Cover his feet. Now that's interesting. Feet are such an important thing. I mean, when you always look at the idea of washing of the feet, shoes that they had back then. So it's interesting. He's going into a cave to cover his feet. The men and David said unto him, behold, the day of which the Lord has said unto thee, behold, I will deliver thy enemy unto thy hand, that thou mayest do with him as it should seem good unto thee. Then David arose, cut off the shirt of Saul's robe privily. Cut off the skirt of it. And it came to pass afterward that David's heart smote him because he had cut off Saul's skirt. Okay, I'm feeling like there is some sort of ritualistic symbolism during this time that I'm not understanding because you have the covering of the feet from the cave, and now you have cutting off the skirt of his robes. So I almost want to feel like what is the significance of that? And he said unto his men, the Lord forbid that I should do this thing unto my master, the Lord's anointing to stretch forth my hand against him, and seeing that he is anointed by the Lord. Hold on 1 second. Okay. Just have to see that. Okay, sorry guys. All right. So David stayed with his servants and with these words, and suffered them not to rise up against Saul. But Saul rose up out of the cave and went on his way. David also arose afterward and went out of the cave and cried after Saul, saying, My lord, the king. And when Saul looked behind him, David stopped with his face to the earth and bowed himself. David said to Saul, Wherefore hearest thou men's word, saying, Behold, David seek thy hurt? Behold, this day thy eyes have seen how the Lord had delivered thee to the day into my hand in the cave. And some bade kill thee, but my eyes spared thee. And I said, I will not put forth my hand against my Lord, for he is the Lord's anointed. Okay, so David had the opportunity to kill Saul. He could have just ended it right then and there. And probably if he ended it right then and there, then he would have been worshipped. He would have probably been, but he didn't. He said, For he is the Lord's anointed. Moreover, my father, see the skirt of thy robe in my hand, for in that I cut off the skirt of thy robe and kill thee not. Know thou and see that there is neither evil nor transgression in my hand, and I have not sinned against thee. Yet thou huntest my soul to take it. So he's basically saying to him, he's like, Look, I could have killed you, but instead I now have the skirt of your robe. And he's trying to say, like, why do you keep continuing to try to kill me? I could have killed you, but I didn't. The Lord's judge between me and thee, and the Lord avenge me of thee, but my hand shall not be upon thee. As said the proverb of the ancients, wickedness proceeded from the wicked, but my hand shall not be upon thee. After whom is king of Israel come out? After whom thou pursue? After a dead dog, after a flea. The Lord therefore be judged, and be judged between me and thee, and see and plead my case, and deliver me out of my hand. And it came to pass, when David had made an end of speaking these words unto Saul, that Saul said, Is thy voice my son David? And Saul lifted his voice and wept. And he said to David, Thou art more righteous than I, for thou hast rewarded me good, whereas I rewarded thee evil. And thou hast shown me this day how thou hast dealt well with me. For so much as when the Lord had delivered me into thy hand, thou killedst me not. Okay, so good. He's aware of it. Like at first I was thinking Saul was going to be vengeful, or maybe he might be. I don't know. But he's acknowledging that David could have killed him. For if a man find his enemy, will he let him go well away? Wherefore the Lord reward thee good, for thou hast done unto me this day. And now behold, I know well thou shalt surely be king, and that thy kingdom of Israel shall establish unto thy hand. Swear now therefore unto me by the Lord that thou wilt not cut off my seed after me, that thou wilt not destroy my name out of my father's house. And David swore unto Saul, and Saul went home, but David and his men got up onto the hold. Chapter 25. And Samuel died, and all of the Israelites were gathered together and lamented him, and buried him in the house of Ramah. And David arose and went down to the wilderness of Pharan. And there was a man in Maon whose possessions were in Carmel, and the man was very great. He had 3,000 sheep and 1,000 goats, and he was shearing his sheep in Carmel. Now the name of the man was Nabal, and the name of his wife Abigail. And she was a woman of good understanding and of beautiful countenance. But the man was churlish and evil in his doings, and he was in the house of Caleb. David heard in the wilderness that Nabal did shear his sheep. And David sent out 10 young men. David said unto the young men, Get you up to Carmel, and go to Nabal, and greet him in my name. And thus shall you say to him that liveth in prosperity, Peace be both to thee, and peace be to thine house, and peace be unto all that has. And now I have heard that thou hast shearers. Now thy shepherds which were with us, we hurt them not, neither was missing unto them while they were in Carmel. Ask thy young man, and they will show thee. Wherefore let the young man find favor in thine eyes, for we come into a good day. Give, I pray thee, whatsoever come to thy hand unto thy servants and to thy son David. And when David's young man came, they spoke to Nabal according to all those words in the name of David, and ceased. And Nabal answered David's servants and said, Who is David? Who is the son of Jesse? There be many servants nowadays that break away every man from his master. Shall I then take my bread and my water and my flesh that I have killed for my shearers, and give it unto men whom I know not where they be? So David's young men turned their way and went again, and came and told them all those sayings. David said unto his men, Gird ye on every man his sword. And they girded on every man his sword. And David also girded on his sword. And there went up after David about 400 men, and 200 abode by the stuff. But one of the young men told Abigail, Nabal's wife, saying, Behold, David sent messengers out of the wilderness to salute our master, and he railed on them. But the men were very good unto us, and we were not hurt, neither miss we anything, as long as there was a conversation with them, when we were in the fields. There was a wall unto us both by night and day, all the while we were with them, keeping the sheep. Now therefore know and consider what thou wilt do, for evil is determined against our master and against all our households, for he is such a son of Belial, that a man cannot speak to him. And when Abigail made haste, and took 200 loaves, and 2 bottles of wine, and 5 sheep ready dressed, and 5 measures of parched corn, and 100 clusters of raisins, and 200 cakes of figs, and laid them down on the asses, she said unto her servants, Go on before me, behold, I come after you. But she told not her husband Nabal. And it was so, as she rode on the ass, that she came down by the covert of the hill, and behold, David and his men came down against her, and she met them. Now David had said, Surely in vain have I kept all this fellow out in the wilderness, so that nothing was missed, all of that pertained unto him, and he hath required me evil for good. So, and more also do God unto enemies of David. If I leave all that pertain to him by the morning light, shall piss against the wall. And when Abigail saw David, she hasted, and lighted off the ass, and fell before David on her face, and bowed herself to the ground, and fell at his feet, and said, Upon me, my lord, upon me let this iniquity be, and let thy handmaid, I pray thee, speak in thy audience, and hear the words of thy handmaid. Let not my lord, I pray thee, regard this man of Belial, even Nabal, for his name is, so is he. Nabal is his name, and folly is with us. But I, thy handmaiden, saw not the young man of my lord, whom thou sent. Now therefore, my lord, as the Lord liveth, and as the soul liveth, seeing the Lord had withhold thee from coming to shed blood, from avenging thyself with thy own hand, now let thy enemies that seek evil to my lord be as Nabal. And now this blessing which had thy handmaiden had brought unto my lord, let it even be given unto the young man that followed the Lord. I pray thee, forgive the trespass of thy handmaid, for the Lord will certainly make my lord a sure horse, because my lord fighteth the battles of all the Lord, and evil had not been found in all the days. Yet a man is risen to pursue thee, and to seek thy soul, but the soul of my Lord shall be bound in the bundle of life with the Lord thy God. And the souls of thy enemies shall he sling out of the middle of a sling. And it shall come to pass, when the Lord have done to my Lord according to the good that had spoken concerning thee, and shall have appointed thee ruler over Israel, that this shall be no grief unto thee, nor offense of the heart until my Lord. Either thou hast shed blood causeless, or that my Lord had avenged himself. But when the Lord shall have dealt well with my Lord, then remember thy handmaiden. And David said unto Abigail, Blessed be the Lord God of Israel, which sent thee this day to meet me. Blessed be thy advice, and blessed be thou, which hast kept me this day from coming to shed blood, and kept avenging myself with my own. For in very deed, as the Lord God of Israel lived, he had kept me back from hurting thee, except thou hast come to meet me. Surely there have not been left into Nabal by morning light any that pissed against the wall. So David received of her that which she had brought him, and said unto her, Go up in peace into thy house. See that I have hearkened to thy words, and accepted thy person. And Abigail came to Nabal, and behold, he had a feast in his house, like the feast of a king. And Nabal's heart was merry with him, for he was very drunken. Wherefore she told him nothing less until the morning light. But it came to pass in the morning, when the wine was gone out of Nabal, and his wife had told him these things, his heart died within him, and he became as stone. It came to pass about 10 days after that the Lord smote Nabal, and he died. And when David heard that Nabal was dead, he said, Blessed be the Lord, had pleaded the cause of my reproach from the hand of Nabal, and had kept his servant from evil. For the Lord had returned the wickedness to Nabal upon his own head. And David sent and communed with Abigail to take her to wife. And when the servants of David were coming to Abigail to Carmel, they spoke unto her, saying, David sent us unto thee to take him to wife. She arose, bowed herself on her face to the earth, and said, Behold, let thy handmaid be a servant to wash the feet of the servants of my Lord. And Abigail hasted and arose, and rode upon an ass. With 5 damsels of her that went after her, she went after the messengers of David, and became his wife. David took Ahinoam of Jezreel, and they were also both of their wives. But Saul had given Michal, his daughter, David's wife, to Philtil the son of Lavish, which was of Gallim. Okay, so what I'm going to do, I'm looking at the time, been on for almost 3 hours. I'm going to stop here. We are going to start on chapter 26, which will be the 106th show. Chapter 26 of First Samuel. Now, tomorrow, I unfortunately am not going to be here tomorrow because I do have a doctor's appointment. Not necessarily looking forward to the doctor's appointment because, like I said, it's one of those things that every time I go to the doctor, it's another nightmare that they're talking about. But, you know something? I get things checked out, I get things rolled out, and it'll be another adventure for me. So, what I do want to say is we're going to start chapter 26, not tomorrow, but on Wednesday. Oh, actually, maybe not Wednesday. Maybe Thursday. I might not be here Wednesday too because I have a doctor's appointment tomorrow. Chris has a doctor's appointment on Wednesday. So I might be caught up in that loop as well. We'll see. I have no idea. But with that, I want to thank everybody for another excellent show. This was an eye opener on some things because the conversation was actually all over the place. And I love when we get to have those in depth conversations. Oh, Marcus, thank you. Good luck with my appointments. I appreciate that. The way I look at it now is I'm glad that a lot of these tests are ruling things out. The problem is when I go for these tests and they actually find something, and that's the part I'm having a little trouble with. So, yeah, they found a couple of things. So we're in the process of fixing what can be fixed. So, but that's going to be tomorrow. Chris actually has to go for surgery. So Wednesday is his pre-op surgery because next week he's going to be getting surgery. So I'm a little there's a lot going on right now. But I'm gonna keep doing what I'm doing. I'm gonna keep praying. I'm gonna keep reading. My attention might be off and on because I try to do this every day, but obviously life gets in the way sometimes. So if I'm not here for a couple of days, I'll be back. But it says the important thing is not to stress, as difficult as they may be. Relax, you've got. Thank you. And that's the problem is I am the type that bottles up stress. And I think that's one of the things I'm focusing on with the whole mind, body, spirit is trying to cope with the stress and try to enjoy as much as I can. So, but thank you. I do appreciate that. So, like I said, I will not be here tomorrow. I'm probably not going to be here Wednesday. So, it looks like we're going to restart this again on Thursday. But I want to thank everybody for being here. Lots of love. Thank you for the likes. Thank you for the gifts. And I will see you guys on Thursday. Have a great day. And thank you so much for being here. Oh, take care, guys. I forgot I'm still on.